How you guys doing? How about we need a blues jam or something? Still having what's that? Still have the baritone telly. Yes, I do have that. I haven't played it in years. You want to buy it? I'll sell it to you. That was an odd buy for me. Let's see. Jazz phone fusion in G minor. Can't resist that.
Nothing going on with me romantically.
Great. Can I buy you a drink?
Oh yeah. Fusion. Okay, you guys are scaring me. I'm turning down. I lost my tone because of you fools. Why are all the backing tracks that say fusion have harmony that makes you play Aeolian? It's like the least fusion thing there is. Like,
With Beyond Natural Pet Food,
put
you
them
can feed your
13s
pet
in,
nutrition
track
as nature
makers.
intended. Beyond brings you options with natural,
really makes you feel
organic,
like you're walking
and
on eggshells.
sustainably sourced
You know, that
ingredients
flat
so you can
13?
choose what's
Never
best
want to
for
hit
your
it.
pet. Learn more at beyondpetfood.com.
Shit, same thing. Always going to 4 minor. What's up with all these minor blueses? I think I'm gonna have to write Dorian in my search. Make it clear. We're jamming over here. Horrible. Roast you guys? Sure, let's do it. I'll do it for free. I'll just jam. I've never been rustier on my electric playing in my life. I've been playing like nothing but gypsy jazz for like a couple months. I'm getting back into it. We're gonna get these chops back. If it's the last thing I do. It's weird, like the touch when you're playing with dirt and delay and reverb, like it's so different, so light. I'm heavy-handed today. Standard switching. Gotta wake up those hands. Oh. I found it hard to apply some bebop language to rock tones. Seems to me out of place, belongs more in clean, dynamic maybe. I don't know, does that work or? Straight out of rock like. You can make anything awesome, you just can't, you know what I mean? It's like there has to be a process there. You can't like take Joe Pass's line and be like, through a Marshall, and that's not gonna work. But if you understand, I think, the principles of what makes those lines cool and how, really with bebop, it's understanding, it's not playing chromatic, it's understanding how chromatic notes wrap around consonant notes. You're welcome, dude. We have so many more lessons. We have a video coming out, a duet I did with Mimi Sounds. She doesn't know about it, but I did it. It's wonderful. It's already on our Instagram. It's pretty much the best. It's my finest work, really. I don't know if you guys know about Mimi, but she's very talented. So in any case, yeah, with understanding bebop language, it's about understanding how the chromatic notes wrap around chord tones and tensions and putting together phrases that do the same thing. That's how you would do it in fusion, but it's not. You're not playing it on the same kinds of chords in fusion. That's really the difference. I mean, when you're playing bebop, you're moving through changes and you wrap around things in a specific way because you're following changes. Here, you're mostly applying it to vamps, so you have to know what to do. But there's a lot of cool shit. I play. That's a big part of what I do. But you can just put together lines that go places in ways that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Yeah. Seen your stuff on Conical. What are your band's thoughts on Indian Carnatic system beyond that? Sorry if it's off topic. Yeah, never pretended to be an expert in any sort of Indian music. To me, a lot of musics from around the world, like flamenco, I always give as an example. I listen to it and I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I'm not sure what the structure of the song is. I'm not sure when they're improvising. Not sure what the melody is. Not sure what the solos are. I can just, I think I listen to it the way normal people listen to jazz, where they just don't know what's going on and they just enjoy something pretty general about it. Never got past that point for me. Like, that's as deep as I go with it, and I'm fine. I don't want to, if it could be like The Matrix and somebody made me understand it, I would definitely choose that. But if I have to put some energy into it and study, I'm never going to do that. But I did like sort of day one kindergarten conical in the way they organize the sound patterns. That's all, that's all I ever taught anybody to do with conical. Don't go deep into Indian music. It's just a good way of verbalizing the sound patterns of the basic rhythm units we use to understand our own music better. Like, I was always into fusion, but not the kind of fusion where it's like, let's have a tabla player and let's really study this ethnic culture and mix it with jazz. To me, it's like, fusion to me just meant that we are all, products, like our generation of Westerners is products of music from all over the place that we like. Not, we don't need to go be musicologists to find new shit. Just by, if you write a tune now, it's a mixture of so many things. Like this guitar tone comes from, whatever, rock or metal even. The harmony comes from jazz. The rhythm, maybe ways of getting to those more interesting parts, of fusion rhythm, like, the stuff John McLaughlin or Sean Lane or people like that played that were into that stuff is easier to, or Alan Holdsworth, he wasn't into Indian music, but if you can understand quintuplets, you have a window into that world of rhythm. So it's just about acquiring the tool that will help you move quickly and understand things, that's where I am with fusion. I'm a Clapton Page player who wants to stretch into fusion. Yeah, so you just mix everything you have in you that you like and you will come up with some kind of fusion. So I never got too deep into it, but I am good at verbalizing those sound patterns and describing things in my musical reality using that tool. That was so bad. This pickup, man, my sewer bridge pickup was so much better. Thanks, EUS. What pedals or dial-ins are the best for fusion? Sounds so smooth with you guys, even Steve Stein. Yeah, I mean, this is just like, here's the this is my tone. Like if so this is just the amp with reverb and delay. So you want to get a tone. I think a lot of people don't know how to EQ an amp. You gotta listen super carefully. One thing you want to be careful with treble, with the treble knob, is if you're playing and certain things when you hit the strings kind of like pierce, you can control that. That's what tone. The better your touch is, the more you are in control of your treble. But some people just are not that in control of their playing. So for those people, know who you are. There's no good tone. There's tone that helps with your playing, right? You're the one who has to play it today, so you can't set it like somebody who plays different than you. You gotta use the machine. So if you hit some strings really hard and some strings really soft, and your treble knob is on 8, you're gonna clean some teeth. That's just a fact. So the price to pay on the other part is that everything's gonna be a little bit duller, but you'll sound better a little bit duller if sometimes you ruin the music by getting too much treble out of the string with your pick. So this is my dirty side of my amp. So the gain is around 4, the bass is around 2. Now, the way to think about, mids are 6, treble right now is like 4, and then I have presence, which is at 6. So for those of you who don't know, let's just think about an EQ curve. All just controls frequency bands: bass, middle, treble, and then the highs are presence. So when you adjust the bass, what will happen is the bottom side of your guitar is going to get boomier and boomier as it gets up, and the top notes are going to sound fuller and fuller. So there's a level of boominess that you can't handle in Fusion. It becomes overwhelming. So it's not a good place to get the thickness of your sound. So I would keep the bass relatively low, because if you're playing a chord and everything's like this, it's gonna be a real problem. Everything's gonna be bloated, and since you need to play a lot of notes, they're all gonna have. You're gonna feel oafy. It's gonna feel sloppy, because every one of them is gonna have size. So you don't want them to be fat there. You want them to be fat in the middle. So mid-range, which really controls the actual fundamental, the voice of your guitar, should be fairly high, like 6 or 7. So yeah, and then you want to get a tone that you can solo with, maybe in a bluesy kind of context, like. So the gain knob here is about like 4. It's dirty. Now, a very good idea is to set your tone using your neck pickup, because if your neck is not bright enough, there's no way to get that back. So that's really what I listen for when I set an amp. I want to get a bright enough tone and not a boomy tone with my neck pickup. And then, you adjust as you go with tone knobs for the rest of it. But that's really where you want to dial it in. So. Uh-oh, the string's about to pop. So if you're testing it with the bridge, yeah, it's gonna sound trebly, but so that's kind of like a good amount of brightness for me. But like, here's too much brightness, just so you can see. There's something about it sounds great, but it gets a little tiring on the ear after a while. But yeah, when you hear it back, like even in an A beat kind of situation, there's something about treble that's very tempting. But you want something that's not gonna fatigue somebody from listening. You can can still, you want, when you dig in and play real hard, you want it to be bright. But like, you know, if I put it back up on 7, then when I play soft, it's bright too, but when I play hard, it's kind of a lot, but if I move to the bridge, you're dead. I don't know if the phone carries it, but it like really pushes something you don't want in there. So yeah, it's always a trade-off. I mean, you can always dial the amp sort of perfectly for one pickup, but then as you move, it's like, oh, that's not usable anymore. So it's about finding a range where everything is a little bit duller than it could potentially be. Or I would say, like, your neck is duller than it could be, but your bridge is usable. That's sort of where you want it. If you're going to use all the pickups, obviously. If you're just a one pickup man and I solo with my bridge pickup, then yeah, dial your amp to that. But for me, I really switch between when I use all the sound. So yeah, so there's that, and then that's your basic tone. I have just kind of a quarter note type delay that I've always is a big part of my sound. And I believe that this is a spring reverb. Or maybe it's either a spring or a plate. I'll look. This is a plate. So it's not a ton. But again, it's like you want your basic tone to be a sound that you're comfortable soloing with. Obviously, like, you don't have to play like the craziest chops, stuff that relies on a lot of gain, but like, you know, that you could play a nice solo with. So I have like an RC booster that I can throw on every single one of my presets that just really doesn't change the tone a lot and adds gain. So it's a booster, but I add a tiny bit of treble, and I take down a tiny bit of bass, and I just match the volume and just add a little bit of gain. So I do the thing with the EQ, not because there's some sort of secret, because I sit there and listen, and that's where it doesn't sound different than the amp tone. So the point of a boost pedal to me is to keep the tone and add gain. So you know, there's no secret place for the knobs. It's just listening to what your tone actually is, the tone that you struggle to get from the amp that sounds nice to you. So here it is, and here it is with. So it's just pushing the amp. It's not just volume. It's adding gain. So there's a preamp in there that's processing the sound and then pushing it into the amp. But it's just making the notes longer. That's what I'm trying to do, right? So if this is my D note, which isn't short, but it's sort of like the center of it tapers, and you just hear like the amount of time it takes it to become this thing that sustains without any vibrato or help is not as long as if I add the gain. It just kind of slows down the process of decaying enough for you to play a sequence of notes. It obviously has the delay that helps diffuse it and the reverb. So if I'm playing legato now, I didn't lose any note on the way, as opposed to, it's weird. It's like here, what I really hear is that I hear it kind of like a clean guitar, like you hear the attack, because the slightest bit of loss if you think about like the sound wave, like a worm, so it's starting to taper off, and then you hear another one, right? It's like, imagine these triangles, but now it's a little bit, I'm extending that initial attack, and then by the time I hit another one, it just sounds like a smooth sound, like a horn line. So you don't hear that attack quite as much. So that's the whole secret, because then right? that's sort of like an amount of gain, just like a dirty amp and a boost pedal, where you can already start to solo because you have that legato thing going on. Okay, so that's sort of the first stage of gain, adding that. Beyond that, I have a more overdriven pedal, and that takes me here. So when you, this is a Maxon SD9 with the amp, no boost. So if I have that, now I'm in a place where I have the legato thing, but now I've added an amount of gain to where it's like a violin almost. So when I hold the note that I'm legatoing to, it just sustains. See how long that is before it gets to that boom. So that's a ton of gain, right? Now I can throw the booster on top of that, and then it's going to be just like a violinist or like an Yngwie Malmsteen, where it's like you're maxed out on gain. You find that place where notes just become feedback. Might be too fuzzy for some people, but if you don't open your volume knob all the way, it gets rid of a little bit of that hair. That's something you can do. So that's sort of the basic idea. Yeah, with that thing. Can you go through the chords of melodic minor? Yeah, minor, major 7, major 7 sharp 5, dominant, minor 7, flat 5, minor 7, flat 5. That's all there is to that one. Yeah, if you're in A. That kind of thing. Let's see. This sound stuff is great info. So this is a great time for me to tell you. This is not it's a plug, but we're gonna do a thing we decided for our Patreons for the upper tier. I'm not sure which tier. I think the $25 a month thing. But we're doing a tone hang once a week where I have like 1,000 pedals that all these companies have sent me. So it's not like a demo. It's gonna be like a guitar hangout. That's not I think a lot of times, with the lessons, people who aren't into jazz find it overwhelming. But for my soul and my wallet too, we're gonna do like a Zoom meeting, which is like where everybody, obviously gets to participate, show their stuff too. But we'll just talk about tone because there's not a lot to say about it in the lesson form. It's more like the way it passes, like how Scott Henderson got into all the stuff he got into after travel. He just hung out with Landau, It's just people showing each other. It's like, you got to draw people's attention to something. You got to be like, listen what happens when you do that, And we'll all learn because it's just, with sound, that your chops don't matter. I mean, they matter like in terms of what you get out of the guitar, but it's the moment you hear it, then you know what it is. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there. All right, I'm gonna go teach some lessons now. Got 4 back-to-back. Wish me luck. Talk to you soon.